Welcome to Stage Like a Pro. I'm Liz Locke. I've been with this market center for about, I'm in my 4th year of real estate as well. This is the only place I've ever been. I don't think the fabulous Ann Sepko needs any introduction, but we will introduce her anyway.
You're so funny.
And then this is Lori Warren from Stage It. And she and I have worked on several homes together. But we'll get to more about what she does, but she's helped Ann on a lot of homes as well, and a lot of them we have photos of that you guys will see. So basically here to talk about, why is home staging so important? In a minute, I'm gonna get used to this in a second. So we always say you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and right now, they're saying buyers make decisions about the property they see within the first 15 seconds of the home, of seeing it. That, sometimes that's even just what you see looking at photos. I think a lot of my clients can kind of tell me when they are sending me homes, they kind of already have an order. Okay, we think we're gonna love this one. And a lot of times that is partially because of how they're being staged. Buyers making their decisions very emotionally when purchasing a home. And a lot of times right now, staging a seller's home, it's gonna get you more money in a faster amount of time. Obviously, right now, we are seeing days on market really increase. So I think right now, staging a home is becoming even increasingly more important because homes aren't flying off the market necessarily like they have been, especially in the last year, really starting to see that shift. Staged homes, of course, look better than competing homes for sale in your local market. And like we talked about, especially when it comes to choosing homes out of everything you're seeing on the MLS, they are recognized by buyers as the best homes to see. 2,800 properties in 8 cities found that stage homes on average sold in half the time that non-stage homes did. That just kind of speaks for itself. Yeah.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of the boring part, just because it's more about the facts and the figures, and the fun part gets to when all the before and after that we'll get to here in a few minutes. But if you have a question about any of this, feel free to just stop us, make it an interactive conversation. Lori has got stats of her own, if based on her individual business. But stop us if you need anything. This first part, like I said, it's basically reading some of this because some of our stats have changed. But we'll just keep going through. But again, stop us if you need us.
We get copies of the PowerPoint.
You can.
She has a question.
I actually do have a question.
Yeah.
So as far as the staging goes, how usually we will pay for the photography and stuff. Did the agents pay for the staging as well? And how much does it usually cost? What do you guys usually do?
We'll get to some of that at the end.
Okay, cool.
But the way we do, I offer as part of my listing presentation a 2 hours of Lori's time where I go there with Lori and we do a lot of the staging. Okay. But you, as an independent contractor, you can do whatever you want. Okay. You can have them pay it. You can pay it the whole time. It's up to you. Okay. That's what I offer. I don't know, Liz, what do you?
All the agents I've worked with, they pay.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I wanted to make
sure.
Well, yeah. And we're gonna kind of get into a variety of, there's virtual staging now that you're kind of seeing increasingly as well. We're gonna talk about what Lori mostly does is staging with owner occupied homes and utilizing what they have in their home already. So it's not necessarily bringing things in. We're gonna talk a little bit about vacant staging and then just touch on if you do need to bring in a company to actually bring in furniture and things like that. So
so we'll go through all the
we're right.
Kind of go through all.
We'll start simple to a little bit more elaborate staging.
Okay, thank you.
So, but again, thank you for the question. Just blurt out. It's good. Okay, so stats on staging. Among realtors who typically represent the buyer, 49% report most buyers are affected by home staging. So and also, since you asked about this, Chip, about the slides, these are really good slides if you want to copy them or put your logos at the top or brand them to you. We do not care because all this just came offline. But put them in your listing presentation so that you can talk about the home staging and what you offer your clients and how this affects them when they are getting ready to list. 81% of buyers say it's easier to visualize a property as a future home when it's staged. 46% of buyers are more willing to walk through the home they view online, and that comes with the staging. Furniture vacant, where just no furniture. 28% of the buyers say they will more likely overlook property faults if the home is staged, because they're more interested in how pretty it is. If you went back to that last slide, go back to that last, can you go backwards?
Yeah.
Like this. Would you not walk in, I mean, everybody has different tastes. Would you not walk in and go, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, and not even notice a huge scratch going across the floor if there was one? Yeah. So that's why home staging, people are gonna be able to visualize or look past default to the home if the home is staged nicely. Okay. That's
Well,
what
they're
I said, because I
also-
looked at it, I'm like, that is so pretty. Okay, the meeting, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, they're also less likely to, like, when you go in a home and you see just stuff everywhere, you think, okay, what am I not seeing? Like, if they're not taking care of, like, the towels on the floor and like, then what is the, like, when's the last time the HVAC was looked at? It just kind of makes you immediately think the rest of the home has not been cared for as well, to me.
Right. The median dollar value to a staged home is $675. Okay? 58% of the buyer's agents believe staged homes increases the dollar value. Buyers are willing to offer 1 to 5% more. 16% say it will increase the offer by 6% to 10% with the staged homes. And that, I think we all pretty much know that if you had a side by side and one had furniture and one wasn't, or one didn't, you're probably gonna get more money for the staged homes. So,
I just changed, sorry, that was the last one.
okay. Yes? Is that me? Is that
This
you?
is me. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the difference between occupied and vacant staging. So what I do is occupied staging. I come in and take what the owners have and move it all around to make the house look the best. Vacant staging is when your house is vacant or you have rooms vacant that you need to fill with furniture. So there's companies that you can rent the furniture and they come and put it in. To stage the home, you sign a contract for a certain amount of time, and that's something usually either the seller will do, or the agent, but it's usually about 0.5% to 1% of the home's listing value of how much that costs to stage the whole house. There's also times like you might just rent like one room, like if it's a master bedroom, and you can rent by the room, or you can rent by the house. There's also virtual staging where a photographer can computer generate how the furniture looks. You've had, your photographer does it.
He does, but
It's kind of pricey.
it's very expensive for him to do it.
Yes.
So he just did send me his contact for somebody
Yes.
that will do
So we'll
virtual
include that
staging if
contact
you
in there.
wanted to know
Yeah.
who that is.
No Vacancy is the company that we've seen some work done, and the information is later in here. But they're a company that you would contract with for a certain amount of time to provide furniture. So then what I do is occupied staging, and that's, it's not interior decorating, because I have friends that are like, can you come help me decorate my house? And I'm like, I literally undecorate houses. Like, I wanna take away any personalization. We're taking away personality and taste, but we're highlighting the home. So like, one of the houses we did had a beautiful chandelier in the dining room, but they had a huge mirror and lots of pictures, so you didn't see the chandelier. So we removed things to highlight what's staying in the house. We try to make each room have a purpose. We try to make little vignette areas, like sitting areas. So we're trying to give the house as much purpose and take away any personality. So the goal of good staging is to show the prospective buyer the potential of the home. So I'm not trying to show off what the owner has that they're taking with them. I'm trying to show off what's in the house. And so when we first started doing this, I followed your photographer one day so I could see like what angle does he take the pictures from? Like so anytime I stage a house, I stand where he's gonna take the picture, where your photographer will take the picture. So we can make sure it's getting the best view of each room. It's highlighting, I like the corners to show, so it makes the rooms look bigger. So we really try to make your pictures look fabulous, because in this market, most people are gonna look at your pictures first and then move on if they don't like it. So we try to make the pictures just look the best they can. So usually the realtors have me come like a day or two before a photographer, or the same day if there's not as much to do. And I'll leave a to-do list if it's a house that has a little more, but sometimes we do the photography on the same day. We make the house as appealing as possible to everyone, not just one specific family. So we try to make it where there's nothing that's gonna stand out that's gonna, like, a UGA flag or a Clemson, like we try to take anything away that might turn off someone. Allows each prospective buyer to imagine the home, how they would live in it and decorate. So like in a kitchen, I like very empty counters, just so they can say, oh, that's where my coffee pot will go, that's where my toaster will go. So we try to just make it as open as possible so they can see where all their things will fit in. We talked about the vacant staging. That's No Vacancy is the company you can find.
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
When it comes to staging the home, so do you find that it's beneficial to stage the living areas as
Go to
well
the next
as?
slide.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That is
I'm
very
ready.
easy.
So this says the most important rooms to stage for the largest return, and exactly what you said. So when I stage a home, I come in after the realtor has already said, okay, clean up the clutter, you know, you usually tell your clients, like, pretend like pictures are today. So I'm not coming in to clean up clutter or make beds, like, they wanna have it, like, they're ready for pictures. So then I walk through the entire house and just kind of take inventory of what's in each room, where we might move things, but I always start in the entryway, like, of the house, because that's the first impression. And then we go living room, kitchen, usually the dining room, unless the master's on the main. So we do the main floor first, because that's gonna be your big first impression, especially your pictures are always gonna lead with that. That's what they're gonna walk into. So we start on the main floor, then the next attention goes to the master, then the bedrooms, and then if there's a basement, we do the basement last. But we always start on that main floor, because that's your moment of entry, is what people are gonna remember.
And we may switch up basement and not put it last
Yeah.
if it is the highlighted of the
Right,
house. If like you have a
yeah.
non-updated
Right,
first
because
and
then it would
second,
come after master
then we
suite,
may
yeah.
just switch it and go to the basement and really
Mhm.
Mac Daddy out the basement
Do
if
you
we
think
need
it's
to.
necessary to do secondary bedrooms as opposed to just the master, or
We
Well,
what is your take on that part?
yeah, so my time is 2 hours, and that's what all the agents offer. So usually in 2 hours, we can address all that, the
Okay.
entire house.
Okay.
So secondary rooms, we just wanna take any clutter away, maybe move the bed or furniture if it's not gonna, you know, take a good picture.
Mhm.
So not as much time to those, but we always address every room.
Got it.
Now, she just said 2 hours, like
Yes.
that is what I offer to pay
Right.
for.
Mhm.
We have done houses, we were talking earlier, I mean, 4 hours,
Yeah.
5 hours
Okay.
to stage.
Right,
I still pay for that. I mean,
Right.
I still
Yeah.
pay Lori,
right.
but if they want something above and beyond what we're trying to accomplish here, then, and they want Lori to come back the next day or come ahead of time or something, then that's something they can work out with her. But,
Okay.
you know, if
Yeah,
you
that
have a
makes
house
sense.
that's,
That makes
you know,
sense.
800,000 or 900,000, that's big, I mean, it's gonna take probably more than 2 hours to do.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
just
But
budget our
The majority
time
of
for that.
houses take about 2 hours. We have done some that took 3 or 4. So like my rate's $200 for the first 2 hours and then $50 an hour after. So it's not,
Oh, it's not.
you know,
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
bad. And then I have done, Paul Summers is an agent here. He had a huge house that the people were downsizing. They had lived there for 25 years. They were retiring. It was packed full of furniture. So I did a pre-stage where I came in for 2 hours and we had Post-it notes. They needed to know what to get rid of so we could stage. So we went through, it was a huge house, huge basement. We went through and put Post-it notes on everything to get rid of. And then once they had gotten rid of it, about a month later, I came back and did the actual stage.
Okay.
So that was like $200 for that pre-stage, but it was worth it because they weren't sure what to get rid of. They weren't keeping much to go to their new house. So I was just able to go in and help them before the stage. Most people, you know, the agent can walk through and say, oh, here's things to get rid of. But it was a huge house with lots of furniture, so we did that.
But you also wanna kind of keep it on a time limit. You
Yes.
wanna say, I offer 2 hours.
Yes.
If you're there for 4, fantastic, then your clients just think that you're even better than you already are.
Yes.
But if you just say, I'm gonna provide a stager,
Yeah.
Yes.
they could expect, they won't do anything.
Right.
Right.
And then they'll
Right.
have Lori come for 6.5 hours, and then you're like, oh my God,
Right.
I gotta go
Yeah.
check
Because
for
you
this.
tell them what to do before I
Yeah.
come.
So,
like,
but put a
the
limit
house
on
needs
it.
to be clean, all the clutter gone, like, they have a pre-staging list before I come, like, but I did help that one family, it was just a lot. So that way we were able to, when it was time to stage, we had exactly what we needed.
Mhm.
And if I have a home that I know Lori is gonna be working with, when I'm in there first, I take photos of the rooms and I send them to her.
Yes.
So that she's not going into that morning at 10 o'clock or whatever as like a totally blank slate.
Right.
She already kind of has a little idea of the layout, little idea of the condition,
Right.
and kind of what's there, so that kind of helps as well, because she can kind of begin to, my mind does not work like that if I see a photo, but hers does.
Yeah.
And what else you can do with that, because this is a good idea, good suggestion and thought, is that if you're doing the pre-walk, the pre-listing, and you're going through and you're, thinking, and you want to say, you need to get rid of that, it's terrible, but you don't really want to hurt their feelings, because you blame it on Lori.
I get to be the bad guy.
So
Yeah.
say, you know what?
Yeah.
got to go.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about that plaid purple and pink couch, but let me take a picture of it and get Lori to,
Yeah.
give her suggestion.
So, it keeps the realtor
So-
in a good position with your client, because you're not the bad guy saying, oh, you need to get rid of this, this, and this. I am. So I'm walking in, hired by the agent, so I'm not working for the homeowner. I am working for the agent. So I don't have to worry about hurting feelings, because I'm paid to do a job of staging. So beforehand, I always ask, is there anything that you want gone that you don't want to say, or is there any area you really want to address, but you don't want to have to address it? So I then can go in and be the bad guy. And sometimes I'll look at the agent, I'm like, what do you think of it? Make it go. So that way I'm saying it, not the agent. So then when I leave, the agent can say, oh, she's really tough, but she's good. And then you're still in a good position with your clients.
Agreed.
Oh, okay. I think it's.
We went,
Oh,
we broke this up,
yeah.
divided up
Oh, that's
evenly, and
me.
now we don't know who's talking about
That's
what.
me.
Okay.
Staging tips with little to no money. Have the home party ready. One of the best things to do is declutter rooms, closet, drawers, and pantry. This gives the impression of extra space. Think seasonally. And we've kind of tried to not include anything, when we say seasonally, how you do the outdoor areas. We don't want anything that's like a fall or summer, because the pictures then would not age well. Like if they listed it and then took it off the market, you want those pictures to be where you could use them at any season. But we think about in the summer, really staging your outdoor areas. You want to use every space for whatever season it is. But we go through, literally I ask permission, can I look in your dining room cabinets, your kitchen cabinets? We try to use every item they have in the best way. So we really go through everything. I see, we found great pictures in people's master closets just shoved somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We have found nice things to go on dining room tables that have been shoved aside. So we really try to use what they have. I don't bring items with me. The agent doesn't want to bring items, because then to get them back after, they're all packing up to move. So we try to use what they have. And we have scavenged and we found a little card table that the grandma had bought with those little grocery stamps years ago. We staged a crafting area.
Yeah.
So we try to use everything that's in their pantries, closets, everything.
And we're gonna get into pictures in a minute of actual examples, but these are just staging tips for inside the home, and then Anne's gonna talk about outside the home. The first and biggest is just get the home sparkling clean. I mean, that kind of what Anne already touched on, is that when people see a really clean home, they're already gonna think that, oh, it just gives the impression that this is an inviting home, this has been a well taken care of home. Kind of helps you to not always see some of the other defects that you might see if people are starting to point everything out because it's not a clean home. Clear away all clutter, leaving nothing on countertops, closets, and floors. So that's a huge one. We take everything off for photos. I tell people, you can put a couple things back that are maybe everyday items to actually live in the home. But for photos, we really clear everything away. When we talk about closets, I always say to remove everything from the floor, because it makes the closet look bigger. So if you need to put stuff high up, that's fine. It gives the impression that there's space up there for storage, but you just want everything off the floor. Style the dining room table. So I know that that's a big, she always talks about being party ready. You want your home to be party ready, just like, right before photos. Same thing with make sure the floors and carpet are great. Throw an area rug down if you need, have the carpets cleaned before. All of those things you kind of want to have done right before pictures, right before the home actually goes on the market. Rearranging the furniture. That is probably one of the biggest things that I feel like Lori helps with. When you go in homes, a lot of times the spaces feel kind of closed. People have their furniture set up for the way that they live, but not for the way a buyer is going to walk through the home. It just creates a much more open and inviting space when we do rearrange that furniture. That's probably one of the biggest areas people get a little touchy about, even though you wouldn't think. So that has been something that's super helpful when Lori does come in and help out with that. Choosing neutral colors, choosing neutral master bedroom. You don't want, sports posters up any more than you want like pink floral everywhere. You want it to kind of, like you said, you want it to appeal to everyone. You want the home to appeal to everyone that walks through it. And open the closets. Aim for 20 to 30% more open space. So that's just helpful in that area. And like I said, again, kind of taking everything off the floors as well. Family photos. So I know you pretty much take them out for the most part. Sometimes we'll leave.
Like sometimes there's black and white ones.
Yeah,
But I'm really more about the security of your client, because now with photos going online, people can zoom in. Like, I just like to take away anything that could be privacy, and for a buyer, just how now people can scrutinize each picture, like to take away who lives there. So I think you just have to be careful with that.
Or
no, go ahead.
sometimes it's a distraction as well,
Yeah.
especially if somebody's moving in the same school district or,
Yeah.
they're, oh my gosh, that was my old teacher, or that was my kid's teacher. Oh my God, I could never live in her house. We never got along. We never. So right off the top, you've already lost somebody that doesn't have that emotional connection anymore. So.
Well, and anytime, even this weekend, I was with a buyer and we went in a home that had a lot of family photos, and they just can't help it. They go up and
look how cute.
they start looking at that photo, and it just kind of takes away from the point. You're not selling the frames. You want them to be able to see, the home in and of itself for its own beauty and its own features. A lot of people have like name signs and things like that. So that kind of stuff we try to pull away. I know I was in a home a few weeks ago and it was like a local political person, and it was very obvious whose home that was at that time. And then you have a whole other realm with politics and things. So anyway.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, I'll ask it this way. When it comes to like pictures and things that make the court is already in the home, right? Sometimes you have a home, like for instance, you may have a home that's filled with African art. This person just loves African art. Is that something that you would encourage to kind of change it up so it's not geared to one specific ethnicity? I'm just
We just try to make it as neutral as possible.
Okay, so
I think you could leave a little, but you just don't
want
want
to be
anything over the
overwhelming.
top.
Yeah, okay, right.
And the same thing with religious.
Right, and I did.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I did a basement that was very like, they had huge giraffe and all this stuff, and so we left a couple things, but we put most of it in the basement, and mainly it was just you wanted to take any clutter away. And
Right,
we tried to approach it as not that it was
Clean floors,
Yes.
and stuff like that.
and I mean they had stuff on every wall, on every shelf, so we just pared it down. So
Okay.
you can still have some decorating style in it, but just where it's not over the top.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Use extra rooms wisely. Each room should have a clearly defined purpose. So that's kind of important too. You don't want to have, like she says here, an office, playroom, and a guest room all in the same room. Even though I know that is how some of us live at times. I know I've got some toys next to my office at this very moment. But you want people to be able to kind of see how that room could be utilized. If it's an office, but they want to make it a bedroom, it just really helps for people to be able to visualize how they are going to use the home, even if it's not the exact same purpose. Use only perfect personal accents. So everything from a new bar of soap to the empty trash can should be fresh and clean. That kind of goes back to the whole cleanliness. I try to tell people to kind of remove most of those accents anyway. You know, people when they're showering, I tell them buy like one of those shower caddies, and when you're done, put it under your sink for the day, and then put it back out. It makes it pretty easy.
When you say don't have an office, or like, how do you, because a lot
Oh.
of homes will be like, you walk in, I mean, and it's noticeably.
No,
an
that's,
office.
that's
Yeah.
putting all of that
All
in
of it
one
together.
thing.
Like, you don't want an office and a playroom.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
No,
okay,
we,
thank you.
we stage, a lot of
Okay.
people have that office right when you walk in.
Right.
But you just don't want it also to be,
Right,
A
and
okay,
there's a
playroom.
playroom.
that's, because I saw that, I was
Yes.
like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, that's
or
what-
the dining rooms right now, because nobody
Yes.
really when open concept came to be a big
Yes.
thing, everybody got rid of, they didn't want their formal dining rooms anymore, so they changed it into like playrooms.
Right.
You know, and so you have a chandelier, but you got toys all around, you got your ABC carpet.
Got
You know,
it.
in that case, we would try really hard to go back and put that as a dining room.
Okay.
And we're
So-
taking all the toys out, and for pictures, they take the kitchen table and move it into the dining room, take a picture, move the kitchen table back, because you want that room staged for, especially with the chandelier in it. So we have had clients move the kitchen table for pictures. It's a pain, but I think like it really makes that space worth it
Right,
to look like what it's supposed to be.
exactly.
That's what that was, all in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it is early, so I was kind of like.
Okay.
You're like, no office.
Well, and again, like, I mean, a lot of us, or at least, I mean, I have young kids, so I mean, you know, people live one way, but you want to present your home in a different way.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm always doing. I'm always, you know, pushing something under
Yeah.
when someone comes over. It's kind of like the same, you know, concept, just to a much greater degree.
Right. And I always tell people, I'm staging it not how you would live, but what's gonna look best in pictures and what's gonna show best. Because we move furniture around that, yes, that's not how you would sit to watch TV, but it's making the room look bigger, like taking the kids' toys and hiding any trace of a pet, because that
Yes.
goes to get rid of the pet odors. I have a really good nose, so I go into homes and like, I can smell it, like, that's really to me important, like when you walk in a basement, if it's musty, so I have products that I tell them that they can use to hide odors. It doesn't really have a smell to it. So that also is a job that I can use, because that's a touchy thing to tell somebody, yeah, it smells like dog or like musty.
What do you recommend for hiding odors?
There's something called Odor Ban, and it's a liquid, and you can spray it. It has no odor to it, it just absorbs the odor. You can put baking soda out, like in trays. So there's things to do that I say to neutralize, like you don't wanna walk in a house that smells overly like they're trying to hide something.
Yeah.
So there's different products that it's called neutralizing instead of like has a scent.
Right.
Yeah, I usually put baking soda in water box
Yes.
when
I have
after
a
I clean it.
Yeah.
client that has smoked a lot of cigarettes in
Yes.
her house.
Yes.
And it's vacant, but it's like sitting in there, and I'm like, how can I get this out of here?
Yeah,
Because it's
open all the
deterrent.
windows and
Yeah.
it's called Odor Ban, and you can spray it. If they have a carpet cleaner, and it just removes the odor. So you're not trying to mask it, but you're
Yeah.
trying to actually remove the
And
smell.
the smoke gets into everything.
Oh, yeah.
Furniture,
Walls and
carpet,
everything.
Air ducts.
draperies, we
Yeah.
can get into the paint.
Yeah.
You gotta spray everything.
How often do you have to, like, once you go in there initially do it, do you have to come back after a week or so and redo it, or how often would you have to?
It just depends on if you have someone that's a smoker and then you say, do not smoke anymore, you can probably just do it, get that neutralized. If it's a pet, it's a continuing, like a cat, like you might have to do it a couple more times. Like I walked in a room and I think one of ours, and I was like, I smell cat poop, and we saw a spot. So like, if it's an animal that's continuing to have a problem, you would have to continue. But usually like a basement, especially if you put the baking soda out, it might be something that you need to continually change if the house is on the market for a long time. But yeah, you definitely don't want somebody to walk down into a basement and smell a musty smell.
They even have, if you go into Publix, like, in the section where they sell like the litter and stuff, they can like on the top shelf, it's like a baking soda, but
Yeah.
it's specifically for like litter boxes.
Yes.
And I'll use that too, and it smells really good.
Yeah,
But I just use it generally because I don't want my house to smell like
right.
cats.
Right.
Cats and
Yeah,
baking
yeah.
soda.
So it just depends on where the odor's coming from. Like if it's just kind of musty because it's been closed up, it usually will go away, so.
And speaking of which, if you do have an owner occupied home, like sometimes they still have like the dog crate or whatever in their
Right.
home. You recommend them moving that out like during open house, kind of putting it in the garage?
I do,
Okay.
only because you don't want the first thing to walk in and be like, is this pet been going to the bathroom in the house? You just wanna
Right.
try to remove any trace of a pet,
Okay.
Of course, they're gonna see it in the garage, but I just think you just don't, like, sometimes we talk about offices, we've walked in and there's dog crates in the front, right when you
Okay.
walk in.
Wow, okay.
So I just think like, yes, they're gonna know you have a dog, but you just don't want it front and center.
Got it.
And yeah, remove everything for photos,
Yeah,
but then like as
You have
showings
to
happen,
limit, yeah.
yeah, I know
That's the-
sometimes it's still, you can still kind of hide as much, but
Yeah.
there might be a little bit that stands out.
yeah. Once I stage, we say like, try to leave as much as you can, but you have to live. Like, you've gotta put your coffee pot back on, you know,
Mhm.
your Keurig back up.
Where do you put the baking soda in that you put out? Like, where do you put baking soda?
A lot of people put it like in a little, like, a covered dish, like that you would put a candle in. You know, you don't want it like just sitting out
I know,
there.
I'm like, trying to think of like what I would put, like where, fish, just sitting in a bowl.
You know,
They
like
have some of
a
those
round thing
things.
that has a cover with little openings, like
Yeah.
for a like a candle, that's,
Okay.
that's what
I think
do.
they actually have baking
They
soda
do.
too,
They
that you
do.
can buy, that you just like turn
Yeah.
and it's got the holes and it's just
Yeah.
like prepackaged.
But you
yeah,
also wanna
already.
be careful that you don't want people to see that
I
you're
know.
covering up
Yes.
something, so I
I
think it's that fine
know.
line of like putting it in that, what's meant for a candle with the little openings that
Yeah.
they're not gonna see it.
The openings.
Yeah.
Go to the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
They
they're
have
gonna
those
have
little
that.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
Have openings at the top.
And,
Yeah, and
Oh,
talk
okay.
about out staging outside the home.
I saw, sorry,
We got that.
I was zoning out into baking soda for a
Yes.
second, or baking. Okay, so we're gonna jump to the outside and then we'll start looking at some of our before and afters. As we already know, curb appeal is one of the most important, almost as important as the inside. So when it comes to curb appeal, boost the curb appeal as much as you can. Many people now are doing drive-bys first, so that they can, well, a couple months ago, you couldn't do a drive-by first, or you weren't gonna get the house, because it would
Yes.
be gone in 15 seconds. But now they're doing more drive-bys to see if they like the area, the neighborhood, so always make sure the outside looks good. Not only in person if doing drive-bys, but in the pictures, because your primary picture, has to be the exterior, so you want that primary picture to be beautiful. Make sure to power wash sidings in driveway, have easy to read numbers so they don't get lost. Plants, we talked about seasonal a little bit. I go both ways. I probably would do ferns or something like that if you want to do something by the front door versus mums, or ferns versus geraniums that are super summer, because then again, if your listing goes into another season, then it doesn't look like, it's kind of like with the Christmas tree. You don't want to be having your listing with the Christmas tree and it's April, because they'll know that your house has been on market or it was relisted from a long time ago. Wash the front doors and the windows, repaint, or stain the front porch if needed. Make sure that the porch stoop is inviting, which is that whole front little section, with the plants you put on the side or whatever, doormats. Have a clean doormat. Use solar lights to highlight the walk for at night. If they're doing drive-bys in the evening, it'd be nice to have solar lights. It's not expensive. Have nice furniture. Keep the front door lights on at night as long as you can for people that may be driving by. Create a lifestyle. Hang a hammock or build a fire pit or something where they can visualize themselves in the outdoor spaces. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do that either. And again, a lot of this is all on a budget. So with backyard patio furniture, add pillows, have candles, have a tablecloth on the dining room table, although I don't like tablecloths, flowers, etc. And remember, party ready. You want to have that inviting. They can see themselves entertaining there, doing all that stuff. Okay.
Do you do outside as well?
Yes.
Yeah, especially like the deck, I feel like, and
A lot of
front,
like
the front
screen
porch.
porches, front porches, yeah, we try to cover every area. And sometimes we'll find like pillows in somebody's closet upstairs, we'll take those and put them out on the porch furniture. We'll move the furniture around so that it'll really show that it's a bigger area. We've actually taken like a couch out into a screen porch, and we're like, okay, if it rains, throw a piece of, like a tarp over it, because you want every room to have a purpose. And I think outdoor living is huge, and, with our winters and fall and spring where you can spend a lot of time outside, summer not so much. But we try to really show off every area of the house.
And we're going into the season when outdoor lighting really is a lot more important because people are gonna be showing homes at 6, 7, 8 o'clock and
Right.
it's gonna be dark in another, 4 to 6 weeks. So just keep that in mind, especially people that are driving by at night and everything.
What about the garage spaces?
I don't do closets or garage.
Okay, yeah, so you would just recommend that they would just like clear them out as much, like you said,
And that-
clear out
yeah,
all the clutter?
That's because I don't think that's gonna be the deal breaker, and that's,
Right.
we don't wanna spend our time on that. I'd rather spend my time on a patio than the garage. But you as a realtor, if it's really bad, can say like, hey, you gotta get rid of some of this stuff, but I don't really focus on
It's my backyard.
that.
Have it party ready. This is not my backyard. I wish it was my backyard.
I like.
But I mean, you can just see how, I mean, they do have seasonal plants in here, but you don't want to put your cheese out, I guess, unless you're having an open house or something. But I mean, this just is inviting. If that was all empty, blank, you didn't have cushions on it would have a totally different feel. But if you have that as your backyard, you want to highlight that as your backyard and have people say, I can totally sit out here and
Right.
watch football games or whatever.
And a lot
So.
of it's the budget, like what the house is selling for, if the houses are selling fast or slow, like how much work did they put into it, like you would have been like, no, just throw the house on the market, but now you're in a season where you wanna spend a little extra time in whatever budget they have to really show off the house.
And as Liz said earlier, we are in that shifting market. We're not where the houses are flying off in 15 minutes. So this is probably something, if you have a client out there that wants to list a little bit higher or has high expectations and the market isn't what they're looking at right now, you might have to be doing some of this. So to get those homes to sell a little faster, not necessarily this, but staging for them.
Minus the cheese.
Am I on trends?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the coming trend.
Yeah.
That's what's coming. No, I'm kidding.
Can I cut the front lights?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, especially for the pictures, yeah.
So this is where, Lori,
the other way.
There you go.
so now you're like, I'm all about this trend. This is all me right here. And that actually came from a house that was online.
Yeah. But we staged a theater where we
stole
took
it.
down the curtains
Yeah.
and things to take away the formal.
So you will have these people that will say, you know what, I know that this is in style, but I love this. You have to have those conversations with Lori to say that's not what's happening now. To sell your house, you need this feel, you need this look. So the hard conversations are gonna happen, but again, blame it on Lori
Yeah, and that's
or
where
another stager.
I have helped like pick paint colors for people, like if that's something that they can put on me, like, okay.
Yeah.
The red's out, but let's pick a neutral gray or, like different things, so I have helped clients pick paint colors, especially when it's something like, we had like a bright yellow, like very expensive house and they had yellow in their whole downstairs.
It's probably in here.
Yeah, so.
We'll probably
so
need to
we
go a little faster.
transitioned to that,
I don't think
yes.
we're gonna get through all.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I don't wanna cut the time,
Yeah.
but some of the cool stuff is is towards the back.
Maybe just we can.
So here just are some of the trends that are happening. So if you don't want to have a stager or want to hire somebody and you're going to have the conversations yourself, these are some of the things that you can look for, you can talk about with your clients. The wood look, the earth tones are still in, even though right now some of the accent walls are greens and teals and blues, but you would never offer that. You can say it's a trend if they want to add some color, but never as the overall reason why you have staging is to sell the house. Of course, like we talked about, the staged outdoor spaces, white kitchens and baths, maybe with an accent island. White kitchens have not really gone away, unless you're Joanna Gaines that wants to change everything up. Mixing the textures with the colors and the wood pieces, that's still in. Repurposing, I put this in here and I have no idea why. Use wood chips, twigs, and old bucket with flowers. I don't know what
It
that
must
is.
be outside.
That must be outside. I'm like, I was like, why do I have that there? Accent with gold and silver together with mixed metals, and mood lighting with updated fixtures is always key. Fixtures are easy and an easy way to update a space if somebody didn't want to go full in on doing changes in the house. Okay. This is not the true color of what the colors are for staging. I mean, here, these are the color names, but they're a little bit more hued to the pink side. So, but, you know, if you wanted to make a suggestion, somebody's got that yellow wall or that yellow room, here are the top colors right now for neutral staging. So,
For some reason, there's a pink undertone to all of them.
Yeah, I don't-
was saying
Right.
gray
I think
looks
it's-
brown.
no, it's something
Yeah.
with the slide.
It
Because on
doesn't,
here,
it doesn't
that's
look
right.
that way on the
Yeah, that's
here, it
right.
just does here.
Yeah, because mindful gray is
But-
not,
I was
No,
looking
it
at the
doesn't
gray
look
with
like
brown,
Like
it's
gray-
not peach,
The
so,
grays,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
grays is still like a really good neutral
Yeah.
for
yeah.
this time. We were talking about how the hot colors right now are green, and that's wonderful in and of itself, but we would not suggest like the hot color trend for someone who
Mhm.
is
Trying to
staging
say,
and trying to sell their home.
You want as neutral as possible that like anybody's furniture would go.
Yeah.
Do you find that like your flexible beige would be like a very good way to go with all colors? Stay away from the grays so much?
I mean, it really just depends, like when I pick colors out, I look at whatever your kitchen countertops are, your floors are. So it just depends on which, I'd like to go more towards the gray, because then it doesn't pull out the yellows of the floors, of your wood floors. So no, I tend to go more towards like a gray undertone than a beige undertone. Okay, it's all about the photos, and that's kind of what we were talking about. 85% of buyers say it's photos online that are the deciding factor to view a home. So especially like with COVID, where people were doing all their shopping online with their eyes, I think it's really important to make sure your photos look the best crisp as they can. You want your listings to appeal to the broadest range of potential online buyers. Home staging will instantly create more attractive photos, and we're about to show before and afters, that drive buyer traffic to the property. Home staging has evolved from a technique used just for in-person showings to a strategy for making homes look fabulous online. So before it was kind of like you were decorating somebody's house. Now my goal is to make your pictures look the best they can. So there's kind of a difference.
Okay, here we go. So this is the most basic that you can do with vacant pictures, or I mean, not vacant pictures, vacant homes to get the pictures. So this was a before, this was a listing, and this is the after. Basically, all you did was just do this. You just went and got a little, a little tray. There's a little, I think those are birds over there, greenery. I probably now would have added a little bit more into this,
Right.
but I went and I bought that like at Goodwill. It was like $5, and I have it in a little storage unit. So I'll just go, if it's vacant, I'll add a little bit of color to that. But you can just see the difference between for adding just that little bit. And again, you don't have to have accessories, you don't do it, but if you ever do go to a garage sale or something and you have, take some of this, pick up a couple things and then go stage some vacant houses with it. This will be the same thing in the kitchen, the before and after. Again, it was just some cookbooks from Goodwill, little thing here. I forget what was there, but we put some lemons for color, more greenery, a basket in the corner, some spoons and an old vase. Again, and there's towels right there. So again, it's not a lot of money, but it just kind of softens it a little bit, and it gives that. There you go. So Lori does not do this. I mean, Lori doesn't have the
Right,
things.
only because
so.
it's especially like a house that already has things, you don't want to bring your things into it, even as a realtor, like, because then to try to get everything back, I feel like is really hard. So, but for this, if it's truly vacant, I think it's a great thing as a realtor to have.
Although I did take stuff to a house that we did that's
Because
in
they
these
didn't have-
pictures,
they didn't
and
have
my
much.
stuff disappeared.
Yeah.
So they
Really?
just came in, and anything they had left, they just started packing, and they didn't know if it was theirs or mine, and I never got it back, but that's fine.
But if you do put your own stuff, just take pictures, and then that way you can say,
Yeah.
okay, your clothes, here's my stuff, yeah.
So again, a bathroom before, empty, nothing there. All I did was add there's the same thing as on the other side, just some hand towels, a little bit of color. I mean, again, will it sell the home? Probably not, but does it make it just feel a little more inviting? And yes.
What did you
So.
do with the hand towels there?
I just rolled them up and left them just,
Kind of dangle,
Yeah.
little fan?
yeah. Can you get my?
Yeah, I see it.
This is, am I talking about this?
Talk about this one, it's yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
this is your turn.
So this was a listing I had. This is kind of a pre-listing. type thing where I did the drive-by. These trees drove me insane. There was this beautiful bump out here where we had, I was like, just take those darn trees down,
And
cost
it
her like
shows how long the house
$300.
is.
But I'm like, look at the difference between how that opened up that whole house. I mean, this was an expensive house, and in this picture, it looks like there's you're missing half the house. So this
Right,
just shows
right.
the more value here.
Yeah. that was-
So,
And this one was a similar one. It's not a great pre-photo because it was, I couldn't find the one I had. So this is one I think the buyer sent me, or the seller. This home, you could not even go up the walkway. Like in here, the tree, you couldn't even see the stairs. They have a beautiful front porch. You could not see any of it. So I told them, like, let's just keep going. They'd send me a picture every like 10 minutes. And we eventually
Yeah, that's much better.
took everything out, and we just opted to not even put anything back in.
You had asked me to put something in, I'm like, well, if you put something in,
Yeah.
it's gonna be small, I was like, I just think that clean, sleek look just showed off the house.
Yeah,
Windows, the
And
porch.
somebody can see what they would put.
Right,
in that
right.
space, too.
Well, and that's it. Somebody might want a blank slate. You know, it's
Yeah.
easier than having to like rip new things out.
Yeah.
We left the two on the corner because they were kind of hiding like the side yards that were sloped and like weren't too like visually appealing anyway. But it made a world of difference, and you're actually able to really see the whole home as you
yeah,
drive
in
down
that
the
picture, you
cul-de-sac.
can't even see that there was all this stone.
Right.
Yeah.
Or is that brick?
Right? No, it's
No, it's
no, it's
stone,
stone.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Stone.
couldn't even see it over there.
Couldn't see the front
Yeah.
porch.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
see any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like Lori does. I feel like you're like undecorating. It's not really about replacing things. Well, most of the time, it's just about taking
Cleaning up.
things out.
Yeah.
Just showing off the house that's they're left with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have to go back and remember the houses. This was just so simple. Again, no money, simple. You could do it, give suggestions. That is so super formal. That was the front room. And I went and did it. I didn't even tell her I was doing it. All I did was I wanted to replace this, but I couldn't do that. I just took off those drapes. Like, look how much difference and more neutral it looks and more into today's style, which is just clean.
And
So-
we try to make sure, like, if we remove a huge picture or drapes, that it's not damaging the walls. So sometimes we have to leave stuff if it's gonna, you don't want them to have a ton of work to do to patch walls and paint, but if it's a simple patch, we do it. So keep that in mind, like sometimes if it's anchored in there really well, sometimes you have to leave it, but you can take down the middle part.
Or just go get some cheap, like
Yeah,
shears something
right,
and put it
right,
there instead.
right.
Yeah.
This is the yellow, this was the
Ooh.
yellow that Lori was talking about, but it was yellow everywhere.
The whole downstairs.
Yeah, so this was a listing that was before me.
Okay.
So this is what it looked like before. And then it never sold. And so then I got the listing and then the changes that we went in and suggested.
Yeah.
That is the same dining room as that over there. But we took down a lot of stuff. So that they painted it gray. Got rid of the area rug to give the perception of this bigger floor.
Right.
Um,
They took the yellow and oranges out of the floor, and then you notice more of the brown. So it's really trying to pick colors that bring out what's more in and hide the oranges and the reds that are the undertones.
Not only that looks like more work. If I was
Yeah.
walking there, it looked like, oh my God, I gotta turn.
Yeah, and this is the
Yeah.
same house,
Yeah.
painted it gray. We took this from the master bedroom,
Okay.
carted it around, added there's my same tray that was in the other picture. Added a lamp. We couldn't really put anything on the wall there because of the molding, but this gave the foyer just such an inviting feel when you walked in.
And then the rug in the background, we found in a bedroom upstairs and rolled it up. It weighed what, 100 pounds?
Probably.
But it just, so sometimes we take
There's
rugs
another
out,
picture of that in
Yeah.
there.
and then sometimes we bring them in, just depending on to make the space look right.
Oh, okay.
This is where, like,
Okay.
Anne sent me the picture of the gallery wall beforehand, and she was like, do you want them to take it down? I'm like, yeah. So before I got there, it was all taken down. And then you can see just how much the room looks, that's the finished picture down there. Of it just looks more inviting and open than kind of, felt really closed in how the furniture was before. And this was the one that had the great chandelier over the dining room, but you really didn't notice it because it was this huge tree, with huge mirrors. So we left the mirrors, but you see how now the light really stands out. We took off the chair cushions. So we wanted your eye to go up rather than look at the furniture. And I think it really made a difference in showing what was staying in the house. This is the house Liz and I did,
Yeah,
and it was like a little keeping room off of the kitchen.
it was like a step down room.
Yeah.
It didn't really have too much of a purpose. It was almost like one of the son's gaming rooms.
Yes.
It had just kind of, you know, besides, we kind of wanted to make the fireplace a little bit more of like a focal point. But we basically just took everything off the mantle, everything off the fireplace. We moved the ottoman, changed some lighting around, things like that. It just made a big difference, not only in the pictures, but in person as well. This is kind of one too, where decluttering is so big. It kind of allows you to see beyond the stuff, so you can actually highlight a home's true features. To me, I mean, all you really see now is stuff. But we literally just had them remove everything. Lori came in, and I think this was more of like a list of homework that you gave them.
It was a small kitchen, so we really left very few things on the counters just because it made it look bigger. Sometimes like Anne had like the little spoon, sometimes we leave stuff out, but this one, we really wanted to highlight the counters that were there and the nice stove, so we just really made it nice and clean and sleek looking, took all the towels away. Magnets off refrigerators, you hurt people's feelings because they like their magnets, but no magnets, nothing on the fridges, so just clean and sleek.
Same thing here, and the furniture in the living room, I don't know how well you can see in the photo, because I think this was taken probably just with my iPhone,
It
but
was like all facing
it was-
the TV.
yeah, and it was very closed. Like, it would have been even hard for buyers to kind of walk in with like one little area. But we totally changed it. That's a picture obviously from overhead.
Yeah, but you can see the middle one, you have a clear
Yeah.
walkway because there was steps over there. So it just kind of opened that area up, and then from above, I think it's important because when people walk upstairs, they're gonna look down at the layout. So it just really opened that room up and made it where somebody could see where their furniture is gonna go. And it looked much bigger.
Same thing, this is down in the basement, that kind of we just kind of started to highlight the real purpose. They kind of had a game room in the back with air hockey, and I think he brewed beer, kind of had a pool table,
Yeah.
and we basically just really tried to transform it to really show how the space could be utilized and actually
We
kind of
flipped
give
the
it that
table
true
over.
purpose.
The table had a poker table built into it, so we flipped it over. Like pool tables, people have covers on it, we take the cover off, like arrange the pool sticks and the balls. So you just really want the room to have a purpose. So now it's like a gaming area with a bar instead of just a kitchen with a table.
The fridge had stickers, that's why they could not.
They did not come off. I wanted to take them off.
Oh, I wondered about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
They were stickers, like,
They were
like,
stickers.
yeah.
They were.
Anyway, but, same thing with the laundry room. We just it kind of was just a place where kids were throwing backpacks, and we just kind of made it look a little more orderly,
Yeah.
put a nice like hamper in the
Well, they
side.
had two baskets we found in their kitchen, and then we just put the two small baskets to put the product up top. So it just kind of made it look cleaner, and instead of everything just kind of shoved, it was shoved over on the side shelf.
Oh, okay. Remember what we're talking about. Now that was easier staging with your own things. This is a little bit going to the next level. This is offering paint colors. This is doing painting cabinets. It's a little bit more of what Lori can offer as help to. She's not going to paint cabinets, but the difference it makes, I think these people probably paid like $3,700 to have the cabinets repainted. Everything else was exactly the same. So, I mean, the difference between this and this to make it look updated for $3,700 is huge. is huge.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the same thing like if with the market, like if it's hot, you wouldn't paint cabinets, but if
Mhm.
it's gonna make, that to me makes a big difference if
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
it's a slower moving market. So it all just depends on, you know, your client, the market, what
Mhm.
needs to be done, but really update it.
and even like that is probably Tobacco Road, which was
Yeah.
probably from 2005, the big
Yeah.
color, but just painting that little strip of wood, and you can see they didn't even do anything with the floors. They were like worn old floors, but just updating this made this feel
Okay,
more updated. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
a good word. So. This is back into just painting, the difference between painting those cabinets back there on the fireplace,
yeah,
the difference it makes here.
yeah, it was like they had done like a sponge painting almost where the TV was. So we just made it where it was all neutral, the same across, and it just gave it more of that built-in look. It didn't look so aged, and it made that keeping area room look really
And
good.
it didn't cost them hardly anything to paint those.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, this was a house, we were talking about different options. I've helped people in different states, and when COVID was really bad, I've done virtual stagings where they send me pictures beforehand and then we FaceTime and do it together. But this was a dining room that we had to give lots of homework for that one. But you know, just one thing in the middle of the dining room table, one thing on the table. I always clean out people's china cabinets because if it looks cluttered, it just one of those first pictures you're gonna see, so we just kind of tidied all that up. There's a before and after of that kitchen, see the stuff on the fridge, the stuff above the fridge. We just took everything off. They had so many things in the corners over there that we just left like 2 things on either side and 1 thing in the corner. That was the house that was painted the yellow, that we painted the gray. We found that picture in a closet and put that out. That's the rug that we hauled down from upstairs. But then turning the couch that way, it just kind of gave the room more purpose of looking that way instead of, it almost just looked like it was just this wide, uninviting area.
And the other one blocked the windows, which
Right.
was a huge, that's the first thing you saw when you walked in was straight through those back windows, but then you have 2 couches blocking. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was empty, and so we found that bench up in a bedroom and just made that an area, because that's a great selling point of that house, is just that little sitting area that looked into the beautiful yard, and it was empty. So really the downstairs area is trying to make each one, sometimes a bedroom might be empty, but areas on the main floor you really want it to have.
And that room
purpose.
had no purpose. It
Yeah.
really was kind of weird.
Yeah,
I mean, it
'cause
was
wasn't a
brick.
screen porch.
No, it was bricked, it was it was brick
Yeah.
all around, and it was air conditioned, but only had 1 door to get out there. I think it was an afterthought, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if we're sitting here saying, what are we gonna do with this?
Right.
What is a buyer saying? Like, what is
Yeah.
the space? What do you put here? So,
So we tried
We
to
just
give
made
them a
it
little
that.
eating area, like sitting area.
oh, so this is the room where we took the rug downstairs.
Yes.
But you see how choppy that is
Yeah.
by breaking up the carpet? It
And we
was,
moved the bed.
Yeah.
So that your eye went straight towards how long the room was. It showed off the bay windows down there, because before your eye just stopped at the bed. And then it just really lengthened the
It
room.
broke up, that first picture breaks up the room. like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and I'm not a big fan of blocking windows,
right.
Right.
but for this room, it was
It
the
had
only
so
way to
much-
do it.
Yeah, but it had so much windows that it was enough. We really didn't block too much. But it just gave that room that length of so much you could do with the room rather than just the bed has to go in the middle.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that was it, empty. And this was using their things, but just highlighting the shelves, highlighting the house. This one,
Forget where we are
lighting
here.
that distracts the buyer's eye, just kind of the way that the photographer would take the picture, so it's not blinding the light. So just
And that
really
one
just-
like washed it all out.
Yeah.
Those pictures
just
over
being
there.
careful about the lighting.
Okay, this is into staging companies.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is like the no vacancy company that you can hire and hire by the room. Or, I think it's it's the most expensive when you first get it, and then each month it gets a little bit less expensive,
Right.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
If you sign a contract for a
yeah.
certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then you pay, it's almost like you're renting the furniture.
Yeah. So again, this is same room, painted, brought in pretty furniture. Huge difference. Same thing here. They gave this step down little keeping space, but gave it a purpose. So. Same thing.
Staging.
I mean, furniture is crazy what furniture can do.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a higher house value, that really somebody needs to see what it's gonna look like. You know, and depending on the market, but if it's a slower market and it's a very expensive house, you wanna spend that money for the furniture.
Same thing.
This is adding accent rugs and throw pillows. Ann and I like to take a blanket and put it into the bed, just to make it more warm. I can't tell you how many beds you walk in a master and they have 2 pillows and 1 blanket. So we'll pull the comforter down, put a blanket, find some accent pillows from around the house. Especially the master, you just want it to look really warm and cozy.
Oh wait, no, this is yours. I'm doing that.
Okay, staging cells, it creates value in the buyer's eyes. It makes sure you have touches to create warmth. Furniture and accessory placement is key, especially for the pictures. Professional photos with good lighting is a must. Staged homes outsell vacant and unstaged properties. So that's the value.
So basically, everything we talked about today, we really wanted to kind of highlight why staging is important and a lot of things that you can kind of do on your own. But we also, I really wanted to talk about Lori too and the services that she can provide. I actually met Lori at this class that Ann did about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, maybe.
And I personally had like a big takeaway when Ann told me, when she said that she puts that in her listing presentations as a way to kind of set herself apart from other agents. I started including that in my listing presentations, and to be honest, I mean, I think it's made a difference in particularly in several situations. But Lori has come in with me on several homes now, and it's just been a world of difference. There was one home that honestly had a very, Lori called her a
Real Housewives of Atlanta.
yeah, wasn't actually, but
No.
it was just it was a really kind of a tough situation. And Lori was like, I told my husband, I said Lori was like a wizard that day. Like she like transformed. Like she and I went in we spent a little extra time, probably 3-4 hours, but this home was absolutely transformed. And she is really, really good at coming in and not just, you know, transforming the home itself, but again, making the seller feel like this is coming from her, it's not coming from us, which is also really helpful because she's not gonna see them again.
Right.
I mean, pretty much in all of the instances. But we'll be working with them throughout the entire length of the transaction. And when it's, you know, you want to start and remain on a positive note. So that's been very helpful, but it's really just, she has an immaculate eye for it. She is, really good at what she does. And it's just been a really transformative experience at several of these listings, because she knows what the photographers are going to take, the angles that they're going to do. The photos come out so much better. The home comes out.
You can see.
Yeah, and it's helped me too be able to kind of go into listing appointments now and actually have a better idea of what to tell sellers as well, and kind of help, you know. So, but that's just something that I started doing after, and I know Ann's been doing it for several years at least.
It's invaluable. It's, you know, if you do the 2 hours, it's $200.
Yes.
Right? Make sure I get this.
Yeah.
I mean, Lori can tell you a little bit more. We're over on time, so I don't want to say too. But I mean, for $200 to get the listing, to have them trust you, to have somebody is on your team. Lori is my teammate. I have a team member working for me to sell that home. to get the pressure off of you and put it on Lori to keep the relationship, the long-term relationship you're gonna have with your clients, $200, if you just take the 2 hours, is worth every penny, I will say, because you're gonna get it back with a higher listing price. So,
And I feel like it's something that, again, sets you apart from other agents out there.
Yeah.
So,
This is my flyer, if you want one, but I can send you the PDF, because what they do is include it when you go meet with a potential client, you can have this in your, as a PDF in your slideshow. And that can set you apart from other agents. Like, I offer this where other agents who might tell you what to do, but that 2 hours I think is a big selling point. And then here's my card. But yeah, I've enjoyed working. I've met several agents from the class, but I've enjoyed working. Usually people schedule me about 2 weeks out, like when they know, they give me a little heads up, and then they always schedule me right before the photographer. If there's things we don't get to, like if you go, okay, I only have 2 hours, then I'll leave a list of homework for the client to do before pictures. So we try to get you set up. My goal is to come in and get you ready for pictures. Like, that is our goal, is getting the pictures perfect and then making sure the homeowner is set up for success. So we usually work out of a pile as we're working. We try to use everything they have somewhere in the house, or, they leave them with a little homework of what to put up.
So when you come in that first 2 hours,
Yeah.
like, can you kind of just go through? what you
Right,
do?
so beforehand, the agent, you would tell the people, okay, you would say, okay, you need to get rid of all your clutter, you need to have the house clean, you need to pretend like today's picture day, and then Lori comes in and gets it. I'm kind of like the finishing touch. So when you walked in before, and people are like, oh, it's perfect, and you're like, oh, I gotcha, and then 2 hours later. So then what I do is we walk in, introduce myself, and I always like give a little speech like, I'm gonna, change a lot of things. It's not how you would live, like I'm taking away personal touches of you. So I try to kind of soften the like blow of a tornado is about to hit your house. And then I walk the house by myself. Usually the agent's handling things with keys or whatever, listing stuff. And I walk and see everything. And I ask permission, like, can I peek in your closet, your cupboards? And then I open the front door, and that's how we start. Like, okay, here's your first picture, here's your second, here's your third. So we work through the house together, and the agent kind of works along with me.
yeah,
And
we're right
like-
there with you.
But they're kind of like my helper, like, okay, find a place for this, let's do this. Or like, sometimes they'll point to something and then I can move it. So we work together through the whole house. But I have staged houses for several agents where they didn't offer the stager and the realtor. I just went in myself and did it. So that is an option, but I think it sets you apart when you come in with the stager, because then you're kind of like, I'm giving you this service of 2 people for 2 hours. That's 4 hours of work that we get done. So I think it's worthwhile for the agent to do it alone, but I have done both. I have done through Zoom or FaceTiming. I've done several houses virtually. But I do like when the agent sends me pictures beforehand, because then I can kind of get a feel of what we have to work with. And we come dressed nice, and then we are like moving furniture, moving rugs. So yeah. So
Awesome. Okay.
It's fun. We try to touch every part of the house, other than garage, storage rooms, closets. I don't really worry about that, because that's not really
big
gonna be
impact, yeah.
yeah, I mean, if there's a master closet, there's several that are fabulous. We have gone in and been like, okay, get everything off the floor.
Right. That might be a selling point.
Because that's probably a picture you would include in your listing.
I think you answered my question though, so when you come in, you don't have like people, like a small crew that works with you, it's just us?
Because I'm not bringing furniture in, but we move furniture.
Well, that's what I'm
right?
saying, for moving
Yes.
furniture and stuff
Yes.
like that, okay,
And then a
gotcha.
lot of times the homeowners, a lot of them want to be part of it, so they'll
Yeah.
help move stuff, or like as I'm emptying a china cabinet, they pack stuff up.
Mhm.
So it just depends on your homeowner. Like, some of them
Yeah.
are working the whole time and don't
Yeah.
have time. Some of them want to be more active. So that's more between you and your client.
Yeah, I mean, of
Sometimes-
course, no, go ahead.
It's sometimes fun to play that old show while you were out,
Yes.
and you have them go away, and
Yeah.
they come back, they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what'd you do to my house? And that can be a good thing, or
Yeah.
that can be a bad thing.
I say I turn my eye on the clean eye. My dad worked in hospital administration and would walk through and point out everything wrong. So like I walked in and they're like, oh, you have a leak in your ceiling, or like the grout in the tub. Like I try to see things that your buyer is gonna see when they walk in. So anything that stands out, like I can suggest grout cleaner, like anything that stands out that needs to be addressed, I also at the end will bring up. That's when I normally hurt people's feelings. Because they think they have like cleaned and ready, and I'm like, okay, the grout in that bathroom just needs to be, because I want my job is to make it where your house is gonna sell.
Yeah.
And take away the pressure of you having to tell your clients things.
So what would you recommend then, if you're in there and you find things like that?
Right.
As you're going around, what time frame are we looking at? So you know the work needs to be done, so you wanna do that work first before you come back in to stage it for the pictures. So how?
So that's where the pre-stage normally you would go in and you're gonna tell your buyers, okay, to get ready for Lori, we need to do X, Y, Z. And I come in and then stage it. That's where I said I had done a listing with Paul Summers where I went in and pre-staged, where we walked through and I told them all the things that needed to be done before we could actually stage. So most of the houses, you guys have been able to just tell your clients, here's what you need to do to get ready for Lori, like clean up the stuffed animals, clean up the clutter in the
rooms,
Yes.
do all
So
that.
when I come in, most of that the cleaning work has been done, but I will point out if I see something that's not normally for pictures, because usually pictures are gonna be that day or the next day, but I'll be like, hey, before you have a showing, you might wanna address, that water stain, or you might wanna address that bathroom, just needs the grout to be clean, so, yeah.
How far in advance do we need to book you or let you know, like if we're planning our listing and when we're gonna list it, do pictures, like?
I'd say like, if you give me a 2 weeks notice, then I could usually get you in the schedule.
And I'll often say, well, when are you thinking of listing? Well, we're ready to go. I said, here's my steps.
Right.
I need to get Josh, the photographer, first, and then I back Lori up behind him. Because the photographer schedules typically, sometimes with the rain and stuff, is not that you don't have a busy schedule, Miss Lori.
Josh is very happy.
But, depending on your photographer, that's what you've got to get scheduled first, and then I'll back Lori up behind that. So that's kind of the little spiel. Then it kind of buys you a minute to process the time, to get it in MLS, how long does your photographer get pictures back, whatever. But then if I get Josh, I'm like, Lori, text her, do you have this day open, we're looking for pictures on Wednesday, and then she'll look at her schedule. And if it's not the same day, then the day before, then something like that.
If
So
they're gonna have a lot of homework, like we're gonna do a lot, but there's gonna be a big pile left, or there's some things, then you might wanna do maybe more than 2 days before a photography. Ideally, it's great if like your photographer's coming in the afternoon and we do it, because we get all the beds perfect, we get everything looking perfect. So it's just really, how much work they have to do after I leave, and most of the time,
You kind of already know.
Yeah.
Before, because you've already been in there. Like, I like to list things if I can, ideally on a Thursday, usually. So then I kind of try to do pictures Tuesday, Wednesday at the latest, so I try to have her like Monday. But every situation can be
It's a little different.
Yeah, can be up, so you're just kind of managing it based on that situation, but.
Ideally, the same day as the photographer, if possible.
That's the
Yeah, or
perfect
the-
world.
or
And a
yeah,
perfect
or the day
world,
before.
Get you in the morning, try and get him in the afternoon, so it's still like
It's
two
like,
left
give me
days.
3 hours just in case we go over, but that's where like, they don't have a ton of clutter, like there's sometimes where we leave a pile of stuff that they need to put in the basement or hide it in the garage, so it just depends on your client.
So it's better common just to make the appointment ahead of time and tell the client, okay, this appointment is in 2 weeks.
And it
So
kind of
you
gives
have
them a
this
goal.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
we have this 2 weeks to get
Yeah.
all of this straight.
Yeah.
We're gonna come in and finish it all,
Right,
take our pictures and keep
right,
pushing.
and that's where you give them like their pre-staging stuff they
Yeah,
need to do.
yeah.
And that's
no
where you
homework
can
done.
send me a
Yeah.
picture and be like, okay, the stager said like the gallery wall, take the gallery wall down. So by the time I got there, that was already done. So if there's things that need to be addressed, you can send a picture to me, and then I can do the guy saying, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Yeah,
That's usually it.
Yeah, I think to them and at least to me too, I think it really feels like a partnership. I mean, I don't know about everyone here, but I'm an individual agent, so I don't have a team or anything. So to me, it just kind of feels like it still kind of feels like people working with me in a partnership, even though it's not in like a buyer's agent, you know, or a, you know, that kind of capacity, so.
That's good. You guys are sending the presentation to us?
Yeah, I think I believe Alicia, is there a sign-in sheet? Is there,
I didn't see one.
No.
okay,
You can sign your name to this yellow piece of paper over here on Lori.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I was
If you want, if you want it, just put
That's
your
what
name and
I'll do.
email down, I don't.
yeah, cause Alicia did come in and
These
get
are,
the,
yeah, these are a list of like products I send to the people.
cause I think there's one,
If you want the
Do what?
slide, you can cut it.
And you'll,
I think there's-
she'll add her PDF.
they're still doing the point
slide
contest, right? I think there's points
So we can make a little flyer.
The flyer is
Yeah, there's
on
flyers
the back.
right here.
last
You
page.
guys-
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
I'll put that,
Yeah.
yeah,
But isn't,
like
isn't
copy
that,
of phones
but
and
as a
stuff.
separate PDF? Not
You-
within
Is it
the-
a separate
Not
PDF?
within the
If
slide,
you
but a
send me
separate PDF.
an email, I can send you directly the PDF. That's what,
Okay.
if you wanna include it in your, don't take it from that, I'll send it to you.
That'll work,
But
thank
here's my information.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
I did as best I could from that, so you're welcome to take one.
Right, but I can
Um,
send you the original
yeah.
PDF that will look better as a presentation.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Kind of pretty.
The real one.
Yeah.
The real one, so. Oh, I'm standing right in front of this anymore. I keep going like this.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any
You guys have
other?
Any questions?
No? Okay. I hope you
Field
had.
trip to my listing.
What'd you say?
Well, thank you for coming.
I said I need a field trip to my listing.
I know, sometimes it's hard, you know, I mean, it's hard to have those conversations with people.
Yes.
This is really awesome though, because it gave me some good like talking points in my mind for the future to kind of scope them out. I think I definitely do want to work with you.
Right.
In the chat.
Like, the first line, just to mean about the first 13 seconds of people walking around.
Just take a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Those steps,
Yeah.
that smell smacking the face.
Right.
That's the first impression.
Oh, there you go. That's the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
even like just a couple of those, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
If you have a second just to see it.
And I've been saying for the longest, I was like, I need a little baby storage unit, and I need to start buying the bushes that I see at Goodwill, and then just like getting me a couple of little pillows. And, you know, just like, I was looking at what you had on the mantle and in the bathroom, and I'm like, I see them at Goodwill and stuff all the time, and like the cookbooks was just like mind blowing.
Oh,
Give me a stack.
I'm just gonna add it to the
cookbooks that you could get.
Oh, that's
for
fine.
nothing.
I just know for me.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
Right,
I
yeah.
actually want that, because I posted in my list.
I mean, in
Yeah.
my, when I had that, I would put some books, because you can get like 25 cents at a garage sale.
Right.
Show.
And they just look like, you know, oh, they're very nicely decorated, and I'm like, that right there, I think I'm gonna make it take me a little trip today and shit, right now, going to bed. It is too, you just said what I've been thinking the whole time,